And here we go, the test edition of Hand Raised Guys. That is coming to you from the enhanced Clark Ford studio. We spent about a week here on this. Chase Parham, Neal McCready. I'm going to be with you here the next 30 minutes or so leading up to Ole Miss and Missouri. 6 o'clock first kick, I guess, for that one. We've got Max Scherzer on the television in front of us. We'll get to college football tonight as well.
Yep.
So we kind of introduce things to you. Guys, let me know where you're hearing me. Everything's good. Kind of throw something at us in the chat box over here as we're getting going.
Yep, they hear. You're good.
We're good?
You're good.
We're getting stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
Mine's lagged a little, I think, on the chat. I'm not getting everything right on the chat. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
I think we have to be conscious to not focus on the picture because the picture's going to be a few seconds behind what we're actually doing live.
all right, so here's the setup. We're going to talk to Gabe DeArmond from Parham and Mizzou here in a few minutes. We're going to talk to him from the game with Missouri and Ole Miss. We hope everything's working out real well. J.G. Tate spent a lot of time with us over the last 24 hours. Neal did feed him a steak dinner last night in doing so.
I did.
We'll start beef tenderloin.
Got a beef tenderloin from LB's Meat Market.
You did.
Thanks to Greg Jones and the people.
That didn't
at
take you long to
LB's.
start closing, did it?
Always be closing.
So Jay hooked us up. We got done this morning. Worked till about 12:30 last night, and then we got back this morning as well. I'm thinking probably as early as next week we might start throwing this thing up the podcast this way as well. I'm kind of digging the format already, but we're gonna get some kinks out. There are a couple things that I do need to kind of consider here. We'll put this on the board. We'll talk about it tonight too. I don't know how to mute the ringer on Skype. It's not working. I don't know. Beats me.
We tried everything.
Yeah, Jay had no clue either. So when we get calls tonight, it's going to ring in, and there's not much I can do. So we just have to take it. So just kind of be aware of that a little bit. But I think we're in pretty good shape. We've got good internet. We've got all the main kinks out, and we'll get going for Ole Miss and Missouri.
I'll say this again in the post game. I think it's important to note that we are hopeful that we will look back on this particular episode 5-6 years from now and laugh at just how bad it is. You know what I mean? We'll look back on it the way we look back on that first podcast where it says this is Talk Shoe or whatever.
Recorded live.
Yeah, I think
it sounded like a dial-up modem. It'd go.
It may have been a dial-up modem.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that that's the case. So I don't anticipate winning an Emmy tonight, and we're going to laugh at ourselves. Hopefully, you guys will laugh at us too. There probably will be a little more, little less sober later tonight, so it might even be a little.
We've already got the alcohol in and stuff. We brought it with us. It's here, so we're good. So we'll talk to Gabe in a second. Ole Miss and Missouri. We'll jump right into it. We'll have plenty of time to kind of rehash because I got a feeling late tonight there's not going to be much order to this show here in a few hours when we come back with you guys. So we'll do a little of it here. Missouri obviously down a linebacker. Kelly Bryant appears healthy, did everything over the course of the week.
Gabe texted me yesterday and told me that Kelly Bryant will play. He will start. He will play. I think all indications are Missouri's.
All right, they want a little more volume for Neal. There's a little more volume for Neal.
You turned me down earlier.
Yeah, you're good now. I moved you up.
He's going to play. How effective he'll be, I don't know. But I think Missouri was being pretty honest about his health situation. He dodged a bullet, basically, against Troy last week, which is good. You don't want to see anybody get hurt. I know people joke about, wouldn't mind if he just missed a week. I get all that. It's funny and stuff. But thank goodness he didn't get badly hurt because it looked bad when you watched it live. Mm-hmm. But listen, today in college football already, it's been kind of a day of chaos. Georgia loses to South Carolina. Congrats to Boom and the boys.
Okay, and I got one thing there. So South Carolina outplayed Georgia, frankly. They deserved to win the football game. But when you have a kicker that can't make a 57-yard field goal, why do you send him out for a 57-yard field goal? That it defies logic because, look, Kirby Smart has become a ridiculously bad in-game manager. He's not become. He has always been one. He still is.
We are not going to sit here on this program on day one and question Boom Muschamp.
On the day he beats the number 3 team.
No.
57 yards, he can't hit it anyway. What are you doing?
I just told you we don't question Boom on the program.
You gave up on Boom. Yeah. You divorced him prior to the year. You don't get to come back just because he hit the lottery.
I still have feelings.
Yeah.
No, Kirby Smart blew this game.
Yes.
Here's the thing on Kirby Smart. He can run a network. He can run a program. He can recruit. He knows how to do those things, Chase. But his in-game coaching is not good. And in close games, he's gotten them killed. And here's what, kind of spinning back to Missouri and Ole Miss for a minute. We talk about Ole Miss a lot because obviously we cover Ole Miss. In all seriousness, if you're Missouri today, This Ole Miss game just got bigger.
You can wake up first place in the SEC East tomorrow.
And I know I'm taking these off now. I've made my tribute to Boone. That would drive me. He did that the whole game. He wears them the whole game.
I know.
If you're Missouri, I know you got to win an NCAA appeal. I know there's a lot there, but the East is in play. I'm not saying they're good enough. It is and
it isn't.
I'm not saying they're good enough to win the East.
Well, if you lose to South Carolina, you can lose to Missouri.
But Missouri, if they can win tonight, they wake up tomorrow and the East is in play. I'm watching this league. Man, this league's got, Alabama's really good offensively.
Look, a lot of the sharps think Florida can beat LSU tonight.
Well, we'll certainly see. And that'll be the game that'll be wrapping up when we are kind of maybe wrapping up hour number 1 of our post-game show. I guess it's conceivable. Florida's good. I'm not convinced that Trask is going to be completely healthy, and if he's not completely healthy, I'm not sure they can do it. And I liked LSU from day one when I saw them in the opener. I've liked that team. Then the other game that I watched a lot of today, frankly, I watched more of it than I did Georgia, South Carolina, and that was Tennessee and Mississippi State. You want a hot take?
Sure.
Ole Miss is going to have an opportunity to leave the egg in Starkville again, to win it and leave it.
They're still not going to leave it.
I know they're not. But I'm going to get a chance.
It's going to give us a week of content again.
I'm going to get a chance to write that column and give it some life again. They're not good. If you can take the run away from them, they're in fact, they're bad. And I didn't like their body language today. I didn't like their body language at all. There's something up with that program. And I told you that weeks ago. And I miss on most, but I think I got that right. There's something going on inside that program. That was not a happy team. Kylan Hill's body language throughout the day was not what you would expect from a player of his caliber, and he's a very good player. There was something weird about them.
They were listless. They never really made that jump. They did not seem motivated. There was definitely a lethargic nature to them that shouldn't be the case, frankly, period. But especially, it's not like you got a disgruntled head coach in year 5, some Houston Nutt 2011 thing. Nothing like that. It wasn't Ed Orgeron in 2007. Moorhead's supposed to be at least steady, if nothing else. And he has an inability right now to get them up. He's having a hard time because, look, they played the suspended players today. It wasn't like it was one of those throwaway deals. This is one of the games, probably Tennessee, probably Arkansas, probably Mississippi State, where they're going to play all those guys. They're going to put a full team out there. That's a message in and of itself of, hey, this thing's ratcheted up. We've got to get this one, guys. This is one we've got to find a way to get. And they never were able to do that. Tennessee had a good bit of intensity today, played like they had to have this one, which they did too, because Jeremy Pruitt's a disaster to this point.
Did you see the crowd
there? They couldn't
there?
match it. I saw it and thought, now, it felt like a Boy Scout game. It felt like State had traveled okay, but at least overall was more full than I was anticipating. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, you sell those huge, and it's a big stadium, obviously. But get back to your point, because that's a better point. Mississippi State, like we do this with Ole Miss a lot. How do you get to 6? How do you get to 6? Mississippi State's doing a lot of the how do you get to 6 talk. And now, it's a lot harder. LSU comes in there next week. That's probably an L. I'm going to go ahead and get out on a limb there. They've still got to play Alabama. They still have to go to Fayetteville. If you're Arkansas and you're desperately searching for a win, suddenly you look at that game and go, hey, fellas, that's doable. I don't know what's left on their schedule. They have losses left. They have one surefire win left on their schedule, Abilene Christian.
Yeah, I've got a little video issue. I'm seeing some people say that my mic and my video is not lined up. We each have the same camera, and mine was a lemon, so I'm having to use my camera on my computer right now.
What we'll do in the postgame show
it just is what it is.
What we'll do in the postgame show is we'll try to kind of reset your camera and see if it
That's
works
why
for a
my
little while.
thing looks a little more faded out behind me than I'm using an inferior camera to Neil, but the other camera was not working. It was doing this freeze thing that I don't really understand what the deal was, but it was doing that. So I know my voice is not lining up perfectly with my camera right now. It is what it is.
I do like the new mics though. We finally have real mics.
The mics are good. They were a little more than we've spent on mics in the past.
Yeah, about 400 times more than we've spent on a mic in the past.
Yeah, I think we just stole Jeffrey's in the past and kept them.
He just let us have it.
Yeah.
It was kind of his parting gift.
So we'll go to get Gabe in a second. Let Neil entertain you while I work on that. Taking the first call, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
Do you need Gabe's number, or are you good?
I think I have Gabe's number. If I don't,
Okay.
that's probably kind of embarrassing since
It's okay.
we're live. And,
No, it's okay. I mean, I can text it to you here if you need it. I can send you a contact. Gabe DeArmond covers Missouri for PowerMizzou.com. As you know, it looks like it's a pretty day in Columbia. A little chilly, but frankly, it's a little chilly here today. We got out this afternoon for a little bit in the shade. It was cold, and I think not cold, cool. I suspect in Columbia.
Cold is not the word.
No, I suspect in Columbia this evening at times it's going to be cold. I think temperatures in the 40s, but it looked like clear skies. Looked like a lot of. It's homecoming for Missouri. Looks like they have a big crowd. There was some concern, believe it or not, that the Cardinals game, which is right now in the 8th inning.
I didn't know it was going to ring in like that, but I guess it's okay.
Yeah, this is the one thing we got to figure it out. We'll get it done. There was some concern that the Cardinals game might take away from the Missouri crowd, but I don't think that's going to be the case. As kickoff's 35 minutes away, the Cardinals and Nationals are in the 8th inning, so I think people are still going to be able to get to the ball game. And
Gabriel, are you there?
I am.
Okay, you're our first caller. It appears to be working. I'm proud. I'm really proud of us right now more than you, but it's good to have you though. I enjoyed it.
I'm proud of me.
Are you?
You know, that's just how it works. Always, I'm proud of me. Yeah.
I'm proud of you too, Gabe. You know that.
I appreciate that. What'd you say about Cardinals Nationals? How's that going?
Well, I'm so glad you asked because I wasn't going to say anything. The Nationals have scored 2 in the top of the 8. It's now 3-0 Nationals. So the Cardinals fans that are there at the ballpark, the Cardinals fans that are like tuned into the game, they can probably start to head over to the football stadium.
I am sure that the gracious Cardinals fans are appreciative of hometown kid Max Scherzer throwing a shutout. Right? That's probably how they feel.
How are we? How is Gabe's volume? We're in test mode here, so Chad, help us out. What's up with Gabe? How's it going?
I talk really loud, so it might be too high.
I guess set the scene. What's the weather like? What's the temperatures? That kind of thing. What's the latest that you hear in terms of injuries and that kind of thing with Missouri?
Yeah, no, it is absolutely a perfect day here. It is probably about 60 degrees. It probably cool down a little bit once the sun goes down. I don't know if you guys are science guys, but that's kind of how it works. But it is a perfect day here. Big crowd expected. I talked to somebody from Mizzou a couple days ago, and they told me very few reserve tickets available. They're expecting, if not a sellout, definitely over 60,000, within a few hundred of a sellout. Kelly Bryant, I was told yesterday, is going to start and play for Missouri. Cale Garrett obviously is not, and that's where we're at.
We talked about this earlier in the week. I think the Cale Garrett thing has led a lot of national people to circle this game as either an outright upset prediction with Ole Miss winning, or if maybe they see the line and say that line's too big. This is from a betting standpoint, this is Ole Miss and the points is a good bet. You're around that Missouri program certainly a considerable amount more than we are. You know about what's behind Cale Garrett, that kind of thing, how they replace him. 1 week after his injury, how do you sort of anticipate his absence being felt? And then more importantly, how do you sort of envision Missouri trying to cover for it?
Well, I don't mean to sound cliche-ish here, but it is very difficult to replace what Cale Garrett did for this team. I mean, he leads the SEC in tackles. He leads the country in defensive touchdowns and was just ridiculously productive. But beyond the production, what I'm curious how Missouri can fix is he's the guy, he's like the point guard that he just didn't know where he was supposed to be. He knew where the other 10 guys were supposed to be. And so whether it was pre-snap fixing something or, you know, in the middle of a play, a guy was out of position and Cale Garrett just fixed it because he was in the right place. I mean, he had 2 interceptions against Troy last week, and both of them were plays where, as a linebacker, he lined up on the line of scrimmage, and every indication to the quarterback was that he was going to blitz, and then he dropped out right into an area where the quarterback didn't expect him to be, and the quarterback threw the ball straight to him. So Cameron Wilkins, a sophomore who's making his first career start, like he probably can't do those things. I expect Missouri's defense to take a little bit of a hit, But at the same time, I actually today, before they played, got more impressed with Missouri's defense in that South Carolina went down to Athens, Georgia, and moved the ball well against Georgia. Obviously won the game, but, it was fairly productive on offense. That's a team that came in here after being productive against Alabama and basically had a 1-yard touchdown drive and then one play where Missouri's defense was busted, and they did nothing the rest of the day. I think this is a very good Missouri defense, and I think if losing Cale Garrett causes you to, lose enough that you lose this game or to Vandy or to Kentucky, then the truth is Missouri's program is not where most people around it think it is. I mean, Cale Garrett's a great player, but I don't think one guy should make that big a difference unless it's a quarterback.
What do you anticipate from Kelly Bryant? You saw the injury. You saw him move around this week. Is he completely healthy in your opinion? I know you don't know, and no one's going to completely come out and tell you exactly what to expect. But kind of, you've covered football for a while. What's your sort of anticipation today for just how healthy he is?
Yeah, I know he's wearing a knee brace, and like any guy that for the first time is wearing a brace, from everything I hear, like he hates wearing it. He wishes he didn't have to. But he does have to, because Missouri needs him healthy. If I'm calling this game for Missouri, and this is breaking news, Derek Dooley has not asked me to sit in for him in this game. But if I'm calling this game for Missouri, I don't call a design quarterback run until I'm forced to. I asked Kelly Bryant to sit back in the pocket. I asked the offensive line to do enough against a pass defense that so far has not been very good in Ole Miss, and let him win the game by handing off and throwing the football. Now, if you get into the third quarter and you're in a dogfight and Kelly Bryant has to take off and run, then so be it. That's what he does. But I wouldn't ask him to do it until I had to. He actually looked pretty good at practice on Tuesday. We talked to him, and he was in great spirits. That was actually, I thought until Tuesday probably he wouldn't play this week. But then after talking to him, I thought, no, that's a guy that sounds like he's going to play. So I think it's more of a, wow, we dodged a bullet. We survived this scare, and let's go. But at the same time, that play has to show Missouri, look, you're one play away from having a kid in there who we have no idea if he's ready, and frankly is at least two pretty big steps down from Kelly Bryant. So I think in these next 3 weeks, you've got to protect him a little bit because, again, especially with the South Carolina-Georgia result today, Missouri's season now is very much you've got to get to Georgia and Florida at 7-1 and take your chances there because depending on what the NCAA says, like you are in pretty good position maybe to play in the SEC title game, but you've got to take care of business in the next 3 weeks. So are you good enough to do that while also protecting Kelly Bryant? I don't know, but I think you have to start every game thinking that and then adapt and maybe let him go if you have to.
Anybody else out at all injury-wise, or just those two? Or the one and then Bryant?
That's all that I know of to this point. I think Missouri is like a lot of programs where sometimes things happen that you don't know about. I mean, I remember a game last year where I saw a guy literally standing on the field in street clothes and asked about him, and they said, yeah, he's not going to play, but could you wait till closer to kickoff? And I'm like, but the opposing coach is like standing there watching him, and so he probably knows he's not going to play. So, no, I can't wait till closer to kickoff. Like, he's wearing jeans and a T-shirt, so I'm going to go ahead and say he's probably not going to play. But, no, as far as I know, everybody else is playing.
People are asking if Elijah Moore for Ole Miss, the wide receiver, is playing. To my knowledge, he is. Yeah. That was the plan all week.
Matt said on Wednesday he should be fine.
Yeah, they were just kind of backing off his growing injury middle part of the week to let him get off his feet a little bit. I think the anticipation is he'll play. Braylon Sanders, the other wide receiver, I don't know. I think that's more of a game time sort of a deal. The truth is he re-injured the hamstring against Alabama, and it's just hard to get hamstrings well, which leads to this question. Back to the Missouri defense, which is the kind of interesting part of this game. If Ole Miss just is stubborn about running the football, is that exactly what Missouri wants?
I wouldn't go that far because, like we talked about earlier this week, the interesting part of this game to me is for the first time since week 1, Missouri is facing a quarterback who's part of the run game. They gave up 297 yards on the ground to Wyoming in week 1. about 115 of those were to the quarterback, Sean Chambers, who, guys, I'm going to be honest, he's one of the worst Division I passers I've ever seen. Like, he could not complete a pass to a wide open receiver 8 yards in front of him, but it didn't matter. He didn't have to. He ran the ball. Now, about half those yards, 136 of those yards came on 2 plays. But I know fans and coaches like to say, well, if you just take away those 2 plays, well, you can't do that because that's what changed the game. So I'm interested to see with Plumlee how Missouri defends a quarterback that is a threat in the run game, because I think, like Neal and I talked about earlier in the week, if Ole Miss can't run the ball, I don't think they have another way to win this game. Like, that's what they have to do. They have to devote themselves to it. Even if they fall down, say 17-0, they have to stick with the run game because that's the only way they're winning this game. Missouri has been phenomenal in all facets of defense since week 1, but in the back of any Missouri fan's mind or anybody who watches Missouri, there has to be that. But in week 1, when there was a quarterback that could take off, they got absolutely gashed, and Missouri hasn't faced that since then. So I think this is a really interesting test for Missouri. I think it's a much tougher game than most of us thought it probably was going to be 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I think in the stretch of the next 3, Missouri plays Ole Miss today. They're at Vandy next week and at Kentucky. This is, to me, clearly the toughest game in that 3-game stretch. And this goes a long way toward determining what Missouri's season is, and if they go to Athens with a chance actually to be the East representative in that title game.
As you say this, it's UNLV is now up 27-10 at Vanderbilt with the ball driving.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. Seriously, 27-10. Derek Mason will be looking for a job.
How many yards does Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon have?
Enough. Hey,
those are the only people I know for UNLV besides Randall Cunningham. I know he played there. But
how surprised were you with South Carolina, Georgia? Obviously, the big, at least as of this moment, the big story in the country.
Yeah, I was watching that game over at an open basketball practice for Missouri, and I paid very little attention to the basketball practice. My first thought was when Will Muschamp trotted out his kicker to try a 59-yard field goal with a minute left in regulation, like, he's going to miss this, and that's what's going to get Will Muschamp fired. Like, you can't do that. You either punt, you go for it, you don't do what he's doing. And then this kicker misses a 33-yard field goal, and I still am not sure how South Carolina won that game. But it opened everything up for Florida and Missouri. I mean, Florida and Missouri now are in a position to consider themselves, I don't want to say in the driver's seat because they both still have to play Georgia, but the chances of those 2 teams winning the East are just, they went up so much from what they were this morning. I'm stunned, guys. I mean, I saw South Carolina come here, and they looked awful. I mean, they couldn't do anything right. And to go win in Athens, Georgia, what that tells me is there's no team that's going to go to Athens and think we can't win this game.
Yeah, we talked earlier about just how bad of a UNLV score
34-10 now.
We talked earlier
wow.
earlier in the show about just how bad of a game coach Kirby Smart is proving to be. I do think you have to turn around in the very next breath and give Will Muschamp a lot of credit. That team, they could have quit.
Here we go.
But Will Muschamp tried to lose that game today, Neal.
He did, but getting his team into that game, he deserves some credit. They lost.
He does.
Helinski in the second or third quarter with a knee injury. I don't know whether they're down to their third quarterback or whatever the situation is, but for Georgia, it's an inexcusable loss. A year ago, they lost in Baton Rouge, and that was at least excusable. This loss is inexcusable for Georgia. It knocks them. I know people will say, well, they can still stay in the title hunt and all of that stuff. I don't know that I agree with that. I guess if they run the table and they win the West, win the championship game, then they would. But they didn't look like that type of a team today. And I'm back to I'll give Jeffrey Wright credit. He's said this since day one. Fromm's a good quarterback. That's the extent of it.
I also think Georgia got a little bit content and thought, all we got to do is show up, other than for a couple games a year. This season is just about getting to that title game and then beating Alabama. The guys relaxed. I mean, there's no other, because the talent, there's no question. Georgia's better than South Carolina, but we also like to assign these, week by week and day by day. Hey, this coach is awesome and this coach is horrible. You know what that game showed me today? None of them are rocket scientists, guys. I mean, they're not splitting the atom here. Kirby Smart butchered a lot of things. Will Muschamp tried to lose the game and won it. We got to quit just making judgments on these guys every single Saturday, whether they should continue to have jobs or not, because the truth is, it's not as complex and secretive and difficult as people want to think it is.
You don't think the world's best and brightest are going into football coaching? Is that what you're trying to say? Are you insulting the overall intelligence of all football coaches, much like the way people stereotype all media? Is that what you're doing?
I mean, I think clearly that these guys should have their hand on the red button, that determines the fate of humanity. Obviously, that's a thing that goes without saying, but the basic point I'm trying to make is, after every game, we like to say a team either outcoached the other team or got outcoached. You know what? It usually comes down to the guys on the field, and the most boring explanation ever is we didn't execute. But it's true. Like, if you find any team in the country that finishes 6-6, you can find 3 plays that would have made them 9-3 and 3 plays that would have made them 3-9. They are not solving world peace here. Guys have to go out and make plays.
So I know Missouri serves alcohol in the stadium. I know you're one of these hardliners. Yeah. You're not going to drink, quote, on the job. Are you going to judge us if we drink on the job tonight?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that I did attend a sponsored tailgate that was sponsored by Kansas City's wonderful Boulevard Brewing Company.
How'd that go, by the way?
But I'm not.
You're not going to say you didn't go either.
Yeah, I plead the fifth. I am. I don't remember.
What's the cutoff?
I'm not here to ask guys.
Yeah, what's the cutoff to an alcoholic beverages the day of covering the game? Can you have one that morning? Can you have a brunch mimosa? Like, what's up? Or just are you hardlining and teetotaling from the moment you wake up?
Well, if I can take a nap in the next 20 minutes, I will not drink after I wake up. How's that sound?
Fair enough. So the tailgate was fun.
Reportedly. Yeah. I can neither confirm nor deny that it was a tailgate with attending.
If you were to talk to sources, did you try the new they had a couple of new, was it new bourbons or new bourbon flavors that they had out? Have you talked to any sources about how those turned out?
Yes, I have heard reportedly, again, that the rye whiskey mule from Fling Cocktails is worth maybe checking out at some point. I've just heard that.
Fair enough.
Enjoy your night, Gabe.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
All right, you guys too.
Appreciate the time.
Hey, can you guys write my story after the game?
No.
Probably not. I don't think you'd like that, but I mean, I'll give it a shot and I'll send you a couple of graphs.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Gabe.
It's Gabe DeArmond, PowerMizzou.com.
Skype works.
Yeah, Skype works.
That's the biggest win that we have of the day. If you guys had any idea what our Skype situation has been like over the course of the last 12 to 18 hours.
Yeah, it's the.
Are you getting a little worried up there all of a sudden? I mean, it was just one play, but I saw Neal tense up. The Cardinals hit a ball off the wall.
Well, Michael A. Taylor
looks like it was misplayed. Yeah. So it's 3-1 now, Nats, and Neal physically got uncomfortable right there.
Yeah. I would have preferred that ball be caught and the inning be over.
Yeah, again, I've got camera issues. I know they're out of sync. There's nothing I can do about it right now.
And there are people talking about our camera angles. We're still working on it. If you knew just how, frankly, effed up last night was after a while, at 12:30 last night, if you had asked me, are you going to have this show tomorrow, I would have said probably not.
Neal was asleep on the studio floor at one point while Jay and I were working last night.
Yeah. I just rested.
Sawing logs over
I just
here.
rested my eyes.
That's what you told everybody.
I did.
It's very, very true. They get out of the inning? Or they?
I think they're making a pitching change.
Okay. So
no, they're not even doing anything. That was just showing the replays.
Oh, all right.
Dexter Fowler's up, little pop fly. I can't see through the light, but it appears that it got caught.
It did.
End of 8, 3-1.
Jay had to head back to Montgomery, Alabama. He gave us more time than I think he probably thought he was going to, but
yeah.
he's a trooper. We rewarded him with 2 bottles of bourbon on the way out the door.
To show you how good of a guy Jay Tate is, we awarded him with 2 bottles of bourbon, and
we gave him a McKenna 10 and a Willet.
Yeah, and he would not take the Willet home because he did not feel like he had done his completed his job to fruition.
Yeah.
So I gave the bottle to his wife Courtney, who did accept it.
She was very happy to take said bottle home.
Take it. Yeah, it's a pretty bottle, by the way. The bottle of Willet.
Yeah, it was
like a pot still, really pretty.
Yeah, it was. So
we have some McKenna 10 in the dining room. I plan to go there at some point this evening, and things will commence from that point. I did not want to start at this early of an hour.
Yeah, it's only 5:45 here as we get going. I had water at this time last night when I came over.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, your wife looked at me like I had like 4 heads or something when I started with water, but it was what it was.
Yeah, no. In hindsight, it was probably a good move.
I didn't realize I was going to be working for the next 7 hours at that point. So yes, it was.
If we could have just solved the little Skype issue, we'd have been okay. I think everything else was sort of.
This morning went really well. We got a lot accomplished in about an hour to finalize this. Because like you said, when I walked in your front door this morning, it was 50-50 at best because we just had an issue we could not figure out.
Yeah, I probably would have bet against us.
Yeah, I like Jay a lot. I was not giving Jay a bottle of Willet Family Estate bourbon. That's not what we gave him.
Oh, no.
Within reason here, guys. Come on. Let's have some common sense. So last thing here, we've talked plenty of Ole Miss and Missouri over the course of the week. Florida LSU. You still thinking they just can't stop LSU, or are you starting to turn a little as the conversation turns and the week goes on?
Well, I am a believer in college football momentum in a day, and when weird starts early, I think the day gets weird. So I sort of right now expect some weird. I think Ole Miss Missouri might be closer than what I thought it would be. I think Florida LSU could end up being kind of a shootout. Frankly, Dan Mullen's pretty good in these games. And these are the games that test Ed Orgeron.
Can you leave it alone?
Not the blowouts where it's so easy to stand over there and smile and go, boy, it's working. I'm going to leave him alone. These are the games where you play against a team that's got that tough front seven, and maybe they mess up a series or two. And I want to see if Ed goes over and goes, you know what, get out of this. Let's get back into my comfort zone. And there's no question the Ed Orgeron comfort zone is smash mouth football. There's no doubt that when he thinks about football his way, and I'm not even picking on him here. It's just the way he's a defensive lineman. It's the way he thinks about football. It's smash mouth. It's much like the way I think. It's one of the reasons I think John Rice Plumlee is moving up with this staff as much as he is. That's what Matt Luke identifies with. I mean, think about it for a minute. Matt Luke was an offensive lineman on a team that had Deuce McAllister and Joe Gunn and all those guys. And he grew up coming up to games to watch his brother, who was essentially a veer option quarterback, play quarterback at Ole Miss in a platoon system with your
Russ
hero,
Shouse.
Russ Shouse.
Yeah.
So it makes some sense. I mean, they're human beings. They're not machines. They have inherent biases and that kind of thing. So it makes some sense. I do think from talking to someone today, I do think Corral's going to play some.
That's where I was going. Over under 15 snaps for Corral today.
Over
15?
Over 15.
Okay.
Maybe significantly over.
Early in the game, you think?
Yeah, I think he plays early. Unless it's
Plumlee goes down, scores, and does all that stuff. Sure.
Yeah, if it's just, I expect Plumlee will start, and I expect Plumlee will play the majority of the game, but I do think Corral's going to play, and I think he's going to play a significant amount.
Yeah, so a little format again tonight, just to kind of reference everybody again. We will start pretty close to after the end of the game. We'll start live. We'll probably have a little free show, just kind of talk for a bit. We'll get into some calls, and again, the one kink that we have in the process right now that I just don't know how to fix is Skype is ringing into the call. So if you call, we'll go to the answer, but it's kind of my public service because I figure a lot of you guys are the ones that are going to come back later too. They're really excited about this. If we're on a call, don't call. Wait till we get off, then make the call. That would really, really help. But we'll see how it goes.
Also, the people Taylor, about one camera, our cameras are little mini cameras. We would not be able to get in the same. We would be way too close to one another. It would be far, far, far too intimate if we did that.
Yeah, we would not have room to frankly put the equipment needed between us that is necessary at the at the moment. Yeah, well, we're not taking this personal. Trust me.
No, we're good.
At this point, you got to have a little bit of thick skin.
Listen, this just doing it is considering where we were at this point yesterday. This is victory.
Oh,
I mean, you'd be
Neal would walk in and go, "Do I want to know?" And Jay would go, "No, not right now. You don't. Just go away. We'll figure it out.
Go back and cook." I've never been more thankful to be the guy in charge of cooking.
Yeah. So it's all good. But appreciate you guys hanging out. We're gonna be back pretty close to right after the game tonight. We'll jump back on. I don't know how long we're gonna go. We'll go until we decide to stop or to Neal can't speak anymore because he's had a little too much bourbon. So one or the other. We will finish out the show. And we appreciate it. We'll see you in a little while. First run did pretty well, and we'll talk to you then.